Oh, we made a thing, gang. Oh, these feel so heavy today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Between the Sharks. Here we are at the ranch. We're gonna do some more DIY circus tricks. We need a beam. Let me explain you. The goal here is to get the ceiling joists to run straight out to our wall. So, the plan here is we gotta take off this overhang, the soffit as it were, get rid of all of this, and then we are gonna put in a 16-foot beam from that wall over to this wall. Triple stud here to carry the load to earth, and we have, I think, a triple right here to carry it down to the foundation there. The only issue is I got to get under there. There's only a single joist, so I got to slam something in under that section. I'm exhausted today. I'm working real hard, so we'll see how this goes. You know those days where your limbs feel like they weigh 100 pounds and doing anything feels like you're moving the world? It's one of those days, gang. But look at this, gang. If you've been following along, I'm basically like the Tasmanian devil. I can get a lot done, but boy, can I make a mess. Oh, it wants to. There we go. Cleaned up, and the one thing I left out, which is a floor joist I got to put in, falling over and clobbering me in the ankle. All right, so we got to peel back almost to that point, which is interesting. That's like one of the main holes in the roof that was caused by a branch that caused some of the significant damage. Got some basic rip and tear tools here. Got to peel all these back. I don't think it should be that bad. I'm going to aim for the trash can. Not really sure what my options are except just to do it. Right? Right. It's all coming apart pretty quick. The shingles can't hold on when the wood's all rotten. There's nothing for the nails to bite into, which makes demolition pretty easy. I gotta get this stuff down in, we call it bite-sized chunks. Well, we're making progress and a mess. I'm actually a little surprised to see that the rafters actually go all the way through. I thought these things were just added on, so that's gonna be a thing. We're gonna have to cut them back. Well, team, if this mess is any indication, we're making progress. I wish that was truly a measure of progress, because I can make a mess fast. But we're getting there. We're in the neighborhood of where we need to be to get the beam in. The thing about the beam, and the thing about the existing beam that's here, the header that is left behind, is that's two 2x10s plus a couple layers of 2x4 or 4x4 plus two 2x4s. Originally, my hope was to leave that in place long enough to get the new beam in and use it as a brace, but reality has struck, and in order to get the beam where I need it, I've got to cut these joists off and rafters off so that the beam can flush up against it so that we can tie the whole thing together. Well, I'm pretty sure the only thing holding this beam up is the fact that it's hanging off of all of those as a big cantilever. So we're going to take this down make sure that I don't get my own darn way. This is going to be a bear to take down. It's difficult to see, but I put a Sharpie mark right where the beam lines up with the ceiling joist. We're going to cut all that off, and the ceiling joist is going to dead end into our beam that's going to be above where this one was. I think at this point all the weight hanging off these nails. So when I trim that out, this thing's going to want to drop, which we needed to, but I needed to do it safely, which is tricky. All right, that's going to take some work to get that ready to go. Dang it. Let's do it though. Let's do it. I feel like I can break this inner one loose. It's not all connected, and we're going to be in a world of hurt anyway, right? Because what I don't want is two 2x10s, a 4x4, and two 2x4s to come crashing down, or worse, start to like rotate and just shred everything. So maybe I'll pop this back off, see if I can get the first 2x10 out, then the second 2x10, then I'm far less worried about the rest of it. It's either going to be real smart or real dumb, gang. Where did I put my screw gun? Oh man. One big heavy piece. Let's see what else will come down. How about you? That came down. We took a good chunk of weight off of it. Which is good. Where do we go from here now? Well, gang, we're making the proverbial dent here. It's slow going, but it's working out. I mean, you can see your beam's just gonna butt up right there to that yonder place where we didn't cut it off. So, Sawzall battery's dead. It's putting its work in, man. We're waiting on the chargification of some batteries, so we're gonna put in our block. I joke a lot, and I do prefer levity to almost all other things, but when putting in a beam, right, we're doing some real structural work here, so it is very important, A, that we build a beam that's strong enough to do the work that we need it to do, which we are going to do. But when we put the beam up, the beam has to carry the load of everything above it, and then something has to carry the load of all of that down to something that won't move. That something that won't move we call earth. And to make sure it doesn't move, we put foundations on it that are dug out onto solid ground and concrete or whatever else. So I have foundation on this side, I have foundation on this side. So to carry the weight down, the weight's going to come off the beam through this triple stud all the way down to the sill plate and to the foundation, to the footer, to earth. On this side, because we had a lot of rotten razzmatazz that we had to remove, we have a triple stud over here to carry the weight with the top plates and all that on the wall. But we got to make sure that that is actually connected directly in compression from where the beam will rest on the very top to a foundation block and a footer. So this is the bottom of those three studs. So we've got to get something in here to make sure it stays exactly where it's supposed to be, and the gravity can just push everything straight down to the foundation. And you know what? The earth is plenty strong enough to hold all this up. So my goal is to jam in this piece of 4x4, which is truly 3.5 by 3.5. I don't know if I can shoehorn it in without trimming some more. Might have to trim some more. Dang it. We'll trim this a little more. It'll be all right. Yeah. How close are we? We are so close. Just not close enough. And then we'll fasten it to the band joist. All right, she is hammered in there. It's my preference, you know, to make it a 1/16 taller than it needs to be and just wedge it in. So if it compresses or whatever, which it will, which is fine, but it, you know, don't want any of that floating. So you can kind of see it up under there. Also, because of the weird circumstances here that this is all interior walls, but it used to be exterior, so it has this diagonal sheathing that, you know, this is a precursor to plywood. This is how they used to do it, and the siding would go on the outside of that. So that's what you see here. See here? That would be the siding. So all of that is tying all of these studs together, all of those studs down to the sill plate and band joist under this side of the foundation. So all of that is actually going to add extra structure to the situation. Part of the reason this house didn't collapse because there were exterior walls everywhere. So even when a wall got really weak, the whole structure was really tied together. You know, even when one or two load-bearing studs completely disintegrated, it was still all tied together by the rest of the structure and siding. So all right, we clobbered our block in here, so we are good to go. It's got a batteries are charged. We're gonna keep making way for our beam because it's right in there. All right, come on, second wind. Let's get busy here. All right, we're waiting for batteries again. I should check the other house to see if there's more batteries around anywhere. This thing's putting its work in. We're hitting a lot of nails. We have blades mostly for wood, but can also take some nails. But cutting through a nail is it's a slow process, and I'm trying to keep a straight line as much as I can. So we're hammering through them where needed. In the meantime, while that does its thing, let's go poke our heads around and see if we can find pieces to build our beam. All right, sports fans, we got my free to me stack of 16-foot 2x12s, which are truly (16'1". Our opening is inside of the stud. Inside of the stud is 15'8". That's 2.5 inches of bearing surface on either end, which is more than enough. So we should be good to go. Just got to drag these big, heavy sons of guns over yonder, and we need a place for them. Dang it. Remember when I said this episode was going to be about building a beam? Well, 8 hours or so later, we're ready, kind of, to build a beam. What I have here is two 2x16s, and they are pretty darn straight. Now, to make that beam more better, what we're going to do is we're going to put a sliver of OSB right down the middle, and we're going to glue it and nail both sides together. Now, the OSB may be overkill, but it's extraordinarily strong when you put it vertical. That's how they're making I-joists these days, which are basically now used for framing floors of 2-story houses and all sorts of stuff that carry plenty of weight. Two 2x12s should be rigid enough to carry this load, but adding that extra bit of OSB will kind of ensure that there's no sag for many, 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 many years to come. And then glue. I'm going to use regular old Elmer's glue. Some people use liquid nails. Some people use all kinds of stuff. In my experience, straight up wood glue or Elmer's glue, I've never seen it come apart. It can be very difficult, like you're breaking things. I've actually seen liquid nails come apart. And I'm not really sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's because it's so thick that you don't really compress the surfaces together, where I'm going to paint on some Elmer's glue and I'll get every square inch, and it will absolutely not prevent the two surfaces from touching each other, and it will add some more rigidity to it. Consult a structural engineer, consult a buddy with experience, you know what I mean? I'm going to do it my way, but don't forget, this is ultimately a safety issue. All I'm doing here is holding up some ceiling and maybe a knee wall for the roof passing over it. But that's all I'm planning for this beam to hold, and that's all it's going to need to hold. So I'm quite confident in my method. I just got to get out there and do it. Simple one-man operation, gang. that rest up there for a second. Let's take a look-see, see how we did. Well, it definitely feels like our cuts are good enough for joist hangers. I knew this going into it, but I wanted to leave everything the way it was until I could get everything sort of roughed in. Then I'm gonna have to cut the rafters back again to make sure there's room for the joist hangers, but generally speaking, we're lined up with our corner here. I'm in the process of wondering if I can assemble this beam in place, as opposed to the traditional method, which would be lay it out, assemble it, and then install it. But given that I'm working alone and would rather not injure myself, it might be mo better and passable in beamitude to put a couple screws in that, give a layer of OSB, grab that feller, put it up there too, and then you know, go crazy with the nail gun once all that's done. That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, gang, so I got to rip down two 11 1/4 rips of this Zip System OSB. I'm using the Zip System, A, because it's what I have, but B, it's also weather resistant, if not waterproof-ish, for 180 days or something. And this thing is going to see some weather before I get it covered up. It's an expensive choice, but it's better than going to the store right now, or having the OSB get all monkeyed up from water. All right, nice straight line. Apparently just because I marked it straight doesn't mean I can cut it straight. See how we did. It'll be great. Based on that monkeying up that I just did, we're going to use the other factory side. I'll spin it around and make one more. Not even a necessary step, but I know that it will indeed make this whole system stronger. What I really need is a Bondo spreader. I don't have one. Making a mess. All right, almost ready though. glue side in, the factory edge down, so I can line it up and make sure it's straight. We're gonna wrestle it into place, put some screws in there before we go back and nail it all, you know? Pretty darn straight. All right, so we're eyeballing it. We're pretty darn close. I'm just putting the pipe clamp anywhere that I see a little bit of a, place I can adjust up. Same thing I'd be doing if it was horizontal on the ground, just making sure that I got a flat edge against the factory edge of the OSB. It's gonna tell me I got a straight line. Sinking some screws in from the backside just in case. And we'll fill in the gaps on the other side. Now the reason I eyeballed it sort of at center-ish, doesn't have to be perfect, is that my center span is kind of my weakest link. So I didn't want my seam in the center. Yes, that's gonna give me 2 seams instead of 1, but I'm gonna put no seam where it needs the most support. So, yeah, here we go. All right, team, it's getting into the evening, but we've got almost a hell of a thing going on here. So all 3 layers are up, everything's glued together. I put a couple 3-inch screws that'll shoot all the way through everything, just to make sure everything is nice and tight. We're gonna go back in and hit nails 3 nails every 6 inches on both sides, and it will be a unit never to come apart again. Now be careful if you're going to drive screws in to help draw everything together, whether you're doing it up there or on the ground. Just make sure that it actually does draw it together, because screws will hold things apart if they don't do right. And I think we are in good shape. A little loose over there at the end. Drive a screw in, make sure it's good. Break out the nail gun. Suck right up tight. All right. This guy's on the heavy side, but he's totally awesome. Well, gang, would you look at that? We made a beam where there used to be a wall. We're not totally done with this area. We got to get this little nug out, and we've got to trim back the rafters so that we can get the joist hangers in. And yeah, and then all the weight that is currently on this stud wall will be on that beam, and we can 86 this little stud wall and get a view of what it's going to be kind of like. And this space is going to be open into the kitchen, which is, that's what counts as exciting around here, is what I'm saying. I'm bushed. So I gave it a little more hell and took out this wall, which, that's cool, but wait, man, why did you, I just skip that one, go to the top. It's fine, it's not like this beam is carrying the weight of the house right there. because the beam's not carrying any weight right now. It's just sitting up there chilling like a villain, you know, being a beam, until we connect all of the joists to it and remove this wall. It's just hanging out, you know. I mean, it's secured, it's got a screw in it so it doesn't fall on my head, but I guess that's fine. We'll knock all this stuff out and we'll put studs in like in, you know, you do. All right, critter. Hey, look out. It's fascinating, the wasp stingy creatures around here. Those guys get wood fibers and make nests somewhere up high, and then the other ones get mud and make mud nests. It's all pretty fascinating stuff. All right, I'm gonna do damage here. All right, so luckily for me, I pulled this out and it wasn't nailed to this piece, so we can put in a new stud right here and nail it both ways so that she's extra strong, holding up our beamitude down to our block that we put in earlier there. And we'll toenail that in too while we're at it, and it'll be as strong as ever, even more stronger, or with no gaps in it. How about that? Yeah, how about that? All right. I'm beat. We'll see if I can manage to saws all those nails without murdering myself. All right. I think I've hit my limit, gang. But hey, we made a thing today. Look at all of this wreckage. This is just from today's work. This kitchen subfloor was completely empty today, and now it is very, very full. But I like what I see, you know what I mean? It's good stuff. It's definitely an improvement. Very good stuff. All right, gang, as always, thanks for watching Between the Sharks. As always, I appreciate it very much. If you're feeling like it, like and subscribe. Makes the YouTube world go round, as childish as it is. Definitely helps me out, and it's totally free for you guys to do so. But if you hit that button, it does help. Anyway, good luck on your projects out there, and we'll see you next time on Between the Sharks. Whew.